In the heart of the night, this world will burn bright. We will set it alight. In the heart of the night, in the heart of the night, this world will burn bright. We will set it alight. In the heart of the night. Hello everyone, I am Anthropomantic Fiend and I do horror-related things on the internet. Today I am reviewing the movie Occupied. This movie came out in 2011, so it's one of the more recent ones. I do not know how to feel about this movie at all. The plot is that this woman who's just gotten out of college is going to babysit this little girl while her dad is away, and they're in this sort of isolated cabin in the country surrounded by these woods. And I'm gonna tell you right now that this movie tries to make you think that the movie is gonna be something that it isn't. It sets up that it could be like a supernatural movie or a home invasion movie or something like that, but no, it is very much a psychological thriller. And I say that so you won't be disappointed if you end up watching this movie, because that's not much of a spoiler, but it does kind of detract from one of the sequences. But you're gonna feel cheated later on if you think it's gonna be home invasion or a supernatural movie or something else. Yeah, this movie's I'm very mixed about this, because I could tell that there was a lot of thought put into what they were doing with this movie, but the execution overall was pretty good, to be honest. The acting is a little bit overdone. There's a little bit of fakiness to it, but that isn't even the problem with this movie. I'll get to the problem in a minute, but first some good points. The music. The music in this movie is wonderful. It is my favorite thing about this movie. The music in this is just gorgeous. The score is good, but there's like some songs with actual lyrics incorporated into the film. And like the first few shots of this movie, which are like on a beach with the woman leaving the beach and then going to the cabin, are genuinely beautiful with that music. It's just wonderful. And that's the other thing. The locations and the cinematography in this movie are gorgeous as well. You can tell that it's lower budget, but at the same time, that didn't bother me, because the locations and the actual camera angles and lighting and everything were just really, really good. That being said, the dad who's kind of paranoid, has set up security cameras all around the house, and the little girl kind of wants to be a filmmaker, so she documents a bunch of things on her little video camera. So we see a lot of things from the perspective of these surveillance cameras and from the video camera. The video camera actually helps you get a little bit more acquainted with the little girl, which I liked. I actually liked that aspect, but the security cameras add nothing to the movie, and it just adds these sort of weird shots that are lower quality to the film. I don't know. It kind of sets up that the dad's pretty protective and a little bit paranoid, but that doesn't really play into the movie in any way that I can see, so I don't know what that was about. The acting, not terrible, but you can tell that they're just saying lines. It doesn't feel like they're actually talking the way people would. And the little girl in this movie is especially not great. She's a little bit grating, especially at the beginning of the movie, but I kind of felt for her more as the movie went on, and I actually liked the characters in this film. And yeah, the story is really good at building suspense, but no payoff. Payoff sucks, and there's not a lot of explanation for things. A lot of movies like to spoon-feed and over-explain things to you. This movie is the god of under-explaining everything. Okay, so if you want to know where the horror in this movie comes from, this is the spoiler section. I'm starting it right now because I literally can't talk about the rest of this movie without stopping here. So I'll just say right now, this movie clearly has a lot of thought put into it. It's pretty well made, but there's not really any kind of payoff. You just feel kind of meh afterwards. It's also really, really, really depressing. It never scared me. It did genuinely make me uncomfortable in places, but it never really explains to you exactly what's going on. And I know some movies can get away with that, but they just give you so very little to go off of that you legitimately don't know what's happening for the whole movie. And that's a problem. I think it's okay to watch once, but I wouldn't recommend it all that highly. And yeah, spoilers now. The woman, the babysitter woman in this, is very mentally unstable. It's clear that she's had some kind of past where something happened to someone she was in love with, or it's almost kind of implied that she may have murdered him, but they never really tell you that. They never really tell you what her past that has caused her to be insane is. They just kind of show you these disjointed shots of her diary and some random other things that legitimately tell you, like, you don't learn anything new about where she is throughout the movie. At least not much. Bare minimum, you know that somebody died and then it messed her up. You don't know why or how or if she killed him. I just wanted to know more, and they don't tell you. You just know that she's going insane. And that being said, I felt really bad for her and for the little girl. It was genuinely creepy when she was supposed to be taking care of her, and she's just kind of going through these motions, and you gradually see her start to lose it. But at the same time, they've set up all these other things to make you think the movie might be something else, and none of them pay off. There's just some really weird things. Like, they go to this shed nearby where they, like, open a drawer and there's two teeth sitting in there, and, like, they're like, oh my god, that's gross, that's creepy, and you're like, aha, a plot point. And then it never comes up again. You're just like, there's this cool creepy thing that could have been part of the plot of this movie, and you're just gonna ignore it? Okay then. The very beginning of the movie is just the kid showing her around and telling her all these urban legends, like stuff about aliens and ghosts and stalkers and all kinds of wonderful things, and none of it actually factors into the movie. They kind of try to make you think it's gonna, and then it doesn't, which is really disappointing, which is why I tried to tell you outright that this is a psychological thriller, so if you ever end up watching this, you won't be disappointed too. With that being said, there's a scene where she's, like, wakes up in the middle of the night and she's, like, looking around, and it does kind of seem like somebody's in the house, and it does genuinely keep you on edge if you think somebody might be trying to get into the house, and nobody ever is in the movie. So with that said, it is kind of cool, and the use of music in that scene is really nice because there's just this dripping faucet that she starts to hear, and the song flows in perfectly, like building up the beat from the dripping faucet, which I really liked. I thought that was cool. And then there's clearly kind of a cool thing going on with, I don't remember her name, but you know, the babysitter character, and she's a college student. You sort of get the sense that she may have run away, but she's got this notebook that she's written all of this sort of very dark poetry in, that you see this same sequence of shots from the notebook over and over and over again, and by the fifth time you're like, oh my god, stop. Even though it's kind of cool, they never, like, even the sound effects every time are the same. They just repeat them over and over, and you don't learn anything new, and it's annoying. Again, there are kind of hints that she may have killed somebody, and that she's this struggling, going insane writer. Like, the kid sets her video camera down, and it, like, lands on some kind of part of is it a poster or something? Or something on the cover of a book, and it just says, writing is easy, just stare at the page until your forehead bleeds, which is what the main character in this movie does quite a bit. And then when she and the little girl is, like, trying to do a documentary thing and interview her, and she's just like, so you wrote poetry? You're doing a creative writing class in college, so what do you write about? Is it about love? Most poetry seems to be about love or death, or both. That kind of speaks for itself as it pertains to what's going on, because then she, like, tries to avoid the question, and the whole interview scene is very uncomfortable. You just sort of because she's just kind of got this very sweet, trying to be nice to the girl aspect to her, and she just kind of stops. It just kind of, you see that all go away for just a split second in that scene, and then she just comes back, and it's pretty creepy. And throughout this scene, it does build up this tension between the two of them. There's this rising uncomfortableness as her sanity gradually is fading away. The next door neighbor will come over and check in on them periodically, and there will be phone calls, and she will lie to different people about different things, and eventually she rips the phone out of the wall, and you start hearing this voice that's talking to her in her head, saying that they're coming to find her and that the little girl has told, and you start hearing police sirens that she thinks she hears and things. So something tells me she definitely killed somebody. She's trying to escape, but it's so underexplained. If they had either had some more concrete flashbacks or even, I don't know, made a prequel to this movie, I would understand her motivations and it would be a lot more effective for me on the whole. And then the movie just kind of ends with the little girl being confronted by her, and it's genuinely kind of heart-wrenching, even though there's a bit of overacting going on. The girl runs outside and sort of crying into her camera, and she uses the camera to talk to her mom who is passed, which is kind of it helps to further the plot some. And then I think what happens is babysitter kills herself by sticking her hand in a socket in the wall. That's the end of the movie. And they really downplay it too. So it's very bleak, but at the same time underwhelming, and it's just overall very unsatisfying. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about this movie. It's okay, I guess. I can tell that they put a lot of effort into this movie, and from an overall aesthetic standpoint, the music, the visuals, everything, gorgeous. It's just, the plot was a little bit thin, and I just needed a little bit more meat to the characters. And then the movie would have been great, and some somewhat better acting that didn't feel as forced. I can't really recommend the movie all that much. It's kind of But if you want to watch it, do so. Maybe you'll get something out of it. Maybe you'll see something I didn't. Maybe you won't. But that's all I really have to say about this movie. Thank you for watching my video. Hopefully you'll watch some more of them, and hopefully you'll see you in another video in the future. Thanks for watching. Bye.